Hello, and welcome back to Brunch with Believers, where we bring practicality to spirituality for athletes. So today our word is planted, and we're going to talk from Matthew, the 13th chapter, where Jesus is preaching, and he is using several parables to try and help the people understand what it is to walk a Christian life. And so we're going to talk particularly about the parable of the sower and the seed. And so in this parable in Luke, it explains that Jesus is attempting to show the ways that people receive the word, the truth about him. And so it's a way for us to kind of gauge and make a barometer of who we are and where we are. And so I'm going to get started with the first part. It's four different ways that he uses four different ways to show us who we are and where we are. And so in the first one, first let me set the scene. So there's the sower. He's just scattering haphazardly, like throwing seeds everywhere. And so it just happens to be that he throws them on four different types of ground, and this is the story. So the first ground we're talking about is the gravel road, which is the space, the road that sits outside of the field. And since the sower was throwing haphazardly, it's out there, some of the seed ended up out there. And obviously it's not going to take and eat in a right away anyway. The birds come and they eat that seed. And so what Jesus is saying here is there's the person who hears the good news of the gospel and they don't receive it. They don't want to understand it. They don't want to have anything to do with it. And so that's the gravel road. Then there's the rocky road. So imagine that there's the gravel and then there's some rocky place right before you get to the field. And so that seed fell on the rocky road. And what that does is what Jesus says that is the person who hears the word, gets enthusiastic and euphoric about it, but as soon as trials come, they totally walk away. They don't try to use the word to help them in those times. And as Christians, that's something that we have to do, because we are all going to face trials and tribulations. And so what we should do is be in a place to be able to go to our word, to be able to give us comfort or give us directions or instructions for how to handle what we're going through, or even just to give us a promise, a good word, something that'll keep us holding on while we wait, right? And so the next ground was the thorny ground. And this is thorns, which will pretty much suffocate. They keep the light from getting in. They suck in all the nutrients away. And so it keeps that seed from being able to actually grow. And so this, Jesus said, is the equivalent of a person who hears the word, knows it, but is distracted by things like money or success or fame or fear or doubt or any of those things that would keep them from being able to truly be in a good space and in a good place with God in that time, right? So that's kind of what the thorny ground does. And so that fourth and final ground was the good soil. And so this is where when it was time to harvest, it was plentiful because it was flourishing, it was good, it was providing, it was presenting, you could see it. And so this is the person that Jesus says is receiving his word wholly, right? And so this is where we want to be. This is our goal. This is where we want to be. And note that this person, this ground particularly was plentiful in spite of rain, cold, heat. So no matter what came, they stood the test. This is where we want to be. And so I'm going to kind of take a sidestep for a second here and talk about the fact that you have multiple purposes as a person. So I know as athletes, typically, you find out you're athletic people find out you're athletic, and that is just singular in focus, right? But you are more than the sport. There is more in you than whatever sport you play. And so there are different gifts and talents that are within you. And those are the seeds that have been planted, just like the one that made you the athlete that you are. You have other seeds that have been planted inside of you as well. And so don't allow that thorny ground, that rocky ground, any of that, those things, so the distractions or the trials and tribulations, to hinder you from being in that place of being on the good soil where you can truly get the glory from God to be able to go forward to do what he asks of you to do. And so don't let your promise and purpose other than sport be drowned out, okay? So that's something I really wanted to emphasize. And lastly, the practicality, right? Because what is Brunch with Believers is about making practically the things that are spiritual, right? So practicality for being planted. Here it is. The way to be good soil is to have a strong relationship with God, the Father. And what that means, how do you do that? Praise and prayer. It's also important to have a good relationship with God, Jesus Christ. And that is by reading and studying the Word. He gave us a blueprint. It is important to follow. And lastly, it is God, the Holy Spirit. And that is through obedience. So I'm going to repeat those. Practical ways to be good soil is to have a close relationship with God the Father through your prayer and praise, to have a good relationship with Jesus Christ through your study and reading of the Word, and to have a great relationship with the Holy Spirit, your companion, through obedience to what you hear. So being a good hearer, doer, and receiver of the Word. So I hope that this helps you. And that you will take this and make it a part of what you do on a daily basis, because it is important to spend time with God. That's all. That's really what this boils down to. God, Jesus just wanted to let people know that you need to have a real solid foundation and a real relationship with God for yourself, not to be swayed or pushed or distracted or any of that by anything else. So I really hope that this helps. And please make sure that you go to follow me on TikTok. I am the Crowned One on TikTok. Obviously, this is YouTube as well. I am the Crowned One, all capital letters on YouTube, and on IG as at the _ Crowned One. So please make sure that you follow me, because this is the passion, as I said last week, and I know this is the purpose and a calling from God. And so I really hope that this helps you as you move forward. And we'll see you